What's up, guys? I got a few minutes here on this Thunder game last night. The franchises. I don't think I'm being too dramatic or hyperbolic by saying everything changed last night. The trajectory of both of those franchises, the way that game played out. Not to mention getting lucky covering the spread. As I got that game wrong. I need to see the Thunder win. So let me start with this. I need to see the Thunder under pressure in a game they really needed to win. They just haven't had many of those games. These players haven't been through it. And yesterday was the game of the series, right? Because if the Timberwolves win, I think I'm right that it goes at least seven. If not, Minnesota could win game five and then end it in six. So yesterday's pivotal game, and the Thunder come out and they just do everything they need to do to win the game. I mean, I could go on and on and on about them, but the headline for me is the Timberwolves. They turn the ball over, they give up offensive rebounds, and Edwards and Randall come up super small. Especially Edwards, the box score, probably doesn't even do it justice. If you're watching the game, he just couldn't. He ran out of gas. Like if to me, that as I'm watching the game and looking at the difference between the teams, is all the role players really even themselves out. And, Minnesota got everything they could ask for from McDaniels and from DiVincenzo. Naz Reid got 11. They got what they needed. Alexander Walker was fantastic. But Edwards kind of ran out of gas. And when it mattered the most, couldn't quite get the shots that he wanted. And Oklahoma City, because of the way they play all year round, even though they didn't use the whole bench in the game yesterday, they're in tip-top shape. And the defense from Dort, from Williams, from Schaefer, from Holmgren, I mean, everybody on their defense, Caruso, it was so fantastic down the stretch. And it just, that was the difference. And then the shot making was incredible. That's what I got really wrong. I mean, the Thunder shot making last night was, I think, championship worthy at this point. That's the hardest thing about gambling, especially in these series, is changing your mind, second guessing yourself. But I went into these playoffs being really open-minded because I didn't know who the favorite was. Figured it was just going to be the Celtics would win. Then Tatum gets hurt. They blow those two games to the Knicks. And I really thought the Lakers would be able to get past Minnesota. And I thought it was a bad matchup for the Thunder. And then I thought Minnesota would push it to 7 games. And then after watching what happened down the stretch yesterday and then seeing what happened in the other series, I think the Thunder are going to win the whole thing. I don't think Minnesota can win game five. That's just too deflating. The way they lost yesterday, uh, it's just, I don't know. Edwards, the windows close real quickly. The Orioles are experiencing that right now. And the Timberwolves had the past 2 years, they got to the Western Conference Finals, and Edwards wasn't better than Luka last year, and he's not better than Shea this year. And last year, maybe you could make the argument that the Mavericks had the better supporting cast. This year, I don't think you can make that argument. The playoffs, is different than the regular season, and Minnesota's got guys. McDaniels is awesome. It was Edwards yesterday, and then Julius Randle, finishes with 5 points, and he just can't bulldoze through against the Thunder. The Thunder are in tip-top shape. Everybody's strong. Their wing defense is great. And they make all these unselfish plays on offense. Shea's the perfect leader, perfect best player for her team. And they won the game that I haven't seen them win yet. That was the game I needed to see them win in order to really believe. So I guess now I believe. I'm probably late to the party here, but 8.5 points is the spread tomorrow night. And I'm more inclined to take the Thunder than I am to kind of feels like Minnesota's just done. So in the other series, I think I'm doing a 180 again because the Pacers, I had them for the first 2 games, and I didn't want to take them in game 3. I just took the over, and the Pacers died. What a game. Like, I can't wait for the game tonight. But instead of recapping that entire game, I want to fast forward to the game, preview the game tonight because I think I like the Knicks. I went from liking the Pacers, thinking they're the better team, the way they play, but you can't lose. They could have lost game 3, and I would still take the Pacers in game 4. If they would have lost game 3 the way they lost to the Cavs in the previous series, the Cavs came out and bulldozed them, beating by 30 points in game 3 after losing the first 2 at home. And if the Knicks would have done that, or at least won the game by, not coming back from 20 points the way they did, not doing it with the others, without Brunson being good. He was really average, if not below average for his standards. Now the Knicks, I love the way the Knicks carried themselves after the game. There was no celebrating. I think the Knicks are going to win tonight. I don't know what's going to happen in this series. I can't wait for Game Five. I'm excited for tonight, but Game Five, I'm already fast forwarding to thinking, can I pull the trigger and take the Pacers? But tonight, I'm going to take the Knicks. I think they're going to even up the series. I think the Pacers are going to play tight. Neesmith is banged up. That was a bad injury for him with his ankle. He did come back in the game, but things changed when he went out. And I think the Pacers they blew the opportunity. They're up by 20, a chance to go up 3-0, and the Knicks were basically done. Towns has foul trouble. Brunson has foul trouble. And yet somehow they find a way to win the game. So I'm going to take the Knicks tonight. Probably take the over, see what the number is, but I'm definitely going to go with the Knicks. And yeah, at this point, I think the Knicks and the Pacers are going to play a drag-out series. It's going to go at least 6, right? At this point, that would be my prediction. And even though there's going to be a week or so off before the finals, feels like the Thunder are going to win the whole thing. So, yeah, I guess I'm late to the party here, but after watching yesterday, I'm done. I'll take the win with getting the points. Even though it was a 1-2 night, I'll take that win, getting lucky that Minnesota covered. But I am done betting on the Timberwolves. So, all right, let's transition to the Orioles. Spend less than 2 minutes because the Orioles have won 3 in a row, and there's no reason to really talk about it until we check in here in a few more days because Sagano gets the pitch tonight, and then Povich tomorrow. Cardinals they're a good baseball team. I don't think they'll be this good for the rest of the season, but yesterday was just like a perfect. That's just how baseball, old school, kind of not too much to talk about, just efficient, won the game. Let's just get more of those games. I think that the one thing I wanted to say that I thought was, the most positive thing out of this weekend was I remember saying on Friday, it'd be really nice to win 3 out of 4. We got this doubleheader against Boston, and then to lose those first 2 games. I don't think anybody really thought the Orioles would win the next 2. So that was like a great sign that they won those 2 games. And then to win yesterday with Morton pitching, it does give you hope. And as a fan, I guess that's really what you want is to at least have something to look forward to. So for the first time in a while, looking forward to the game tonight. They still got to win a handful of games here before we can get excited and start transitioning into being buyers, not sellers. But they will be favored tonight and probably favored tomorrow, or at least 50-50. So we shall see. And all right, I want to do the Ravens schedule because I had a couple thoughts here as minicamp starts. Let me pull up the schedule. Minicamp starts today. They have a bunch of, can't really keep track of exactly what the rules are and whatnot, who gets to show up and when they have to show up. But today's the first time that some people show up. And the Ravens have to fill in a couple holes. Every team's got to fill in some holes. But I feel pretty good with the holes that are there that we can fill in, starting with the linebacker spot. Trenton Simpson, I thought he was going to have a better year last year. Really just didn't get much playing time. Malik Harrison took a lot of those snaps. And this year he should have those snaps. He's got to get paid. If he wants to get paid, he better have a good year. So I feel pretty confident about that. The left guard spot, there'll be competition. Cleveland's there, but I think Voorhees will retake that spot that he lost to Macari. Little drama there, but not too much drama. And, the safety position is the only negative thing. I want to get that out and then be done with it as we start to get positive because every team is going to have an injury to somebody. If you have to pick your top 20 players, and I do think Darius Washington was one of our top 20 players. If you just really break down what happened last year in the secondary and the changes that were made after they get rid of Marcus Williams. So to lose him is really, it sucks. But it is somewhat of a strength back there with Kane and Bo. So there's options. Plus they got Malachi. So one of those situations where if they needed to lose somebody, it would have been worse to lose one of your other top 20 players. That might be, Ardarius, I think, is a great player, and he was going to get paid. So it really sucks. But outside of that, I don't think they really need to sign a safety. They brought in Awuzie at the corner spot. Maybe they signed somebody else. I think they'll get another defensive tackle here in a couple months as we get closer to the season. But I really want to go through the schedule and just give my overall thoughts, kind of rip through it because I'm really bullish on the Ravens. I think that you know look, the way we talk about windows here, the Ravens, they're not going to pull an Orioles, right? Like at this point, Lamar's just way too good at football, and Derrick Henry's way too good. So there's not enough variance here with the Ravens to not win 10, 11 games. I don't think no matter if they get unlucky, uh, you know, I didn't get to the kicking situation. The guy Hoyland from Wyoming is going to battle Tyler Loop. I'll take every piece of coverage on the kicking battle and fall in love with one of these guys. I kind of want to root for Hoyland just because he was kicking in Wyoming and he was undrafted. But him versus Loop in the offseason is going to be a good battle. But anyway, I don't think the Ravens window is closed because Henry and Lamar are too good. So, it just whether or not they're going to have a road playoff game slash only win 9 games and be on the fringe and not be a contender, or can they be better than they were 2 years ago? Like, was that the peak, the game against the Chiefs? Because last year, excuse me, the loss to the Bills, I guess you can say either year was they're roughly the same team. If those two teams had to play each other, kind of favored the team last year just because it had Derrick Henry, even though the team in 2023 went a little bit further. So with that being said, what's the fate of this Ravens team? And it feels like we're on the trajectory here to finally get to the Super Bowl with Lamar. I don't think it's going to go the other way. I think it's going to go up. I like the schedule. So it starts at Buffalo. May as well just start there. If we're going to play the Bills, let's not do it when it's freezing cold. Let's do it when we're completely healthy. Win or lose, I'm going to spin it to a positive. If we lose, it's the rock bottom of the season, and it just is what it is. It's not like a carryover from last season. It's just going to suck, and then we'll annihilate the Browns. So we'll either be 1-0 and annihilate the Browns, or 0-1 and annihilate the Browns. God, I hope Flacco wins the job and he can come here for opening day. That'd be great. A ton of content, right? If Flacco comes. So Browns come. Flacco doesn't matter. We're going to win the home opener against the Browns. I'm pretty confident. I'd rather play the Lions at home than have to play at Detroit. You can say that for almost every team, but if there's one team that makes the most difference, it's probably the Lions. They have a great home field advantage. Getting them at home on, what's that, the Sunday night game? No, that's a Monday night game, right? Home against the Lions, that's as good of a spot. So obviously they're a good team, but I do like that spot for them. And then at Kansas City the following week, same thing I feel about Kansas City that I do about Buffalo. I'd rather play these teams. I don't really care playing all the good teams back-to-back weeks because that simulates what's going to happen in the playoffs. And I'd rather play at Kansas City in favorable weather and at Buffalo in favorable weather. The Texans are probably a team that I'll bet on and be the most bullish on. I think people will shy away from the Texans because they took them last year and they disappointed. I love what the Texans did in the offseason, addressing the offensive line, and I'm big on Stroud. We get them at home, and then we get the Rams at home, and then that takes us to the bye. So, yeah, it's certainly not an easy way to start, but there are 2 home games right before the bye, which I think is awesome. And because that sets you up for home against the Bears coming off the bye. So you get a month at home right in the middle of the season. It's just, I think that's great to plan. And, whether you're going to the games or you're on the team. So I actually really like it. And then the road trip starts with 3 games on the road, but may as well be 4 straight home games because it's at Miami as the next game after the Bears. And they're, 100% more Ravens fans at that game. There's no Dolphin fans anyway. Dolphins probably suck. I think they're the team I'll bet, probably the most bearish on, whether it's Tyreek Hill shenanigans, the fact that they never have an offensive line. Tua's always hurt. Who knows if he'll be there by the time we play him. So I like the Ravens in that spot. Then the next game at Minnesota, hard to predict the Vikings because McCarthy. Side note, Aaron Rodgers is like lurking around hoping like McCarthy breaks his ankle or something in the next few weeks so he doesn't have to go to Pittsburgh. But I don't know how good the Vikings will be. I think they're a hard team to predict, right? Basically a rookie quarterback. So at Minnesota's there, and then it's at Cleveland. And then home against the Jets, which, what's that? Right before Thanksgiving, right? So, yeah, home against the Jets. That's, um, as good of a game as you're going to get. So there's a couple of gimmies on here. That's one of them, and I think playing the Browns is a gimme. The most interesting spot for the schedule is right after the Jets game. The way they schedule the Bengals and the Steelers is, um, may as well just start the playoffs for the Ravens. So they're going to play home against the Jets, and then on Thanksgiving they're going to play home against the Bengals, and then home against Pittsburgh, and then at the Bengals. It's like those are three straight games. Bengals home against Steelers, and then and then at Cincinnati, and it's like, we can obviously predict whether or not Pittsburgh will be good. They're going to be relevant. I don't know if they're going to win 11 games, 12 games, but they never win 6 games, 7 games. So those games will be a pain in the ass. And then Cincinnati is, if they stay healthy, they're going to be good this year, right? I think most people would agree with that, the way they finish. So that makes it a little difficult. I'm more concerned with the end of the schedule than I am with the beginning, because after those 3 games with the Bengals jammed up in between the Steelers, then it's home against the Patriots, at the Packers, and then at Pittsburgh again to end the season. So Green Bay is the one team that we're playing in not favorable conditions on the road. The rest of the schedule, we won't have bad road environments besides Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, weather-wise. And yeah, the beginning of the schedule, I don't mind it. It's kind of like a nice sprint towards the bye week, knowing you're going to have those 3 straight home games. So we'll be locked in for the beginning of the year. It's the end of the year where I hope we're rolling, because if we're rolling, those games won't feel as challenging. If we're battling for a playoff spot, we don't get off to a good start. The end of the schedule seems more challenging than the beginning. So that is, yeah, there we go. That's my take on the schedule. Maryland basketball coming in a few days, because I wanted to just make sure I'm not doing all my homework on all these guys. It feels like it's actually really fun, but makes me think, like, if it was your full-time job keeping up with college basketball or college football with all the transfers, and it's incredible. There's like so much work to be done with each team each year, trying to figure out all these guys. So read like the bio and the briefing, if you will, on each of the players, but want to get a few more, do a little bit more work, and then give my specific thoughts there on Maryland basketball, even though it's the off season. And besides that, just keep rolling here with the NBA. And cool. Good luck to everybody if you're betting. I got the Knicks tonight, and hopefully the Orioles can keep it rolling here. So have a good day. If you need anything, as always, just shoot me a message, and I'll see you guys here in a couple of days.